women love Roland because he celebrates femininity and he celebrates their bodies.
We wanted something that was a bit more formal, and the girls had not an austerity but a very seriousness to the attitude of them. Very little skin, quite covered up, quite reminiscent of a military element, but with the playfulness of colour. And I think there was a real exploration of the print. I think the decision for me in terms of the styling to do that as the first look that you opened was like something I consciously made, because I wanted to express there's a real movement inside the house to express inside of print.
Really approaching with my technique another way of using the fold for covering and protecting the body. When you fold for a dress, it's to emphasize the body and you work really close to the body shape. Coats, jackets, you have to give more volume. That's when the fold has to give space. You have to think about empty space in the fold for the body to move, and that was the challenge of this season.
The dresses are cut close to the body. I think they're the most gorgeous, and they're what the customer really adores. And this idea of a little bit of a flippy hem. We're seeing a lot of dresses and even the skirts that get close to the hip, down the leg, and they explode in a little bit of a hem that has movement to it. We've seen it in New York, London, and Milan, and it's continuing here in Paris.
The colors were really about frozen pastel. This summer is such about pastel. I say the best challenge is to make the frozen pastel, because I think pastel are better in winter for me. It's when your skin is whiter, I think pastel work really well.
Beautiful, all the subtle pearl grays, and kind of crazy about that buttercream yellow, and also just that really soft mint continuation of what we saw in the spring runways, but beautiful for the fall season. Real triumph for him this morning.
Shoes are the new story. The shoes are something that to challenge, to push further. I want to become a master of the shoes. That's me. I start as a good student. I learned from a good French factory. We work in collaboration to push it further, and I'm so happy. As a starting point, I'm really pleased of them.
in with a lot of mixed media, be it the mixing of fabrics and certainly the mixing of fabrics with fur on every runway, that little subtle bit of Nordic. Even in the idea of quilting, we've seen a lot of puffers and a lot of quilted appliques, but a little bit of a reindeer, if you will, just taking us slightly to a lodge, but not in a very obvious way, in a very understated and subtle way, was whimsical.
Part of that inspiration of that winter, this winter 54, 57, where in France and in Europe you could see one side the future of France was the haute couture with Dior, but the reality was people were freezing and had hard time to live, and we're so close to that at the moment with between Greece and. I couldn't avoid that reaction. I couldn't avoid I don't want to take the suffering of people as a trend, because that's not my thing. But you have to understand how we have to layer clothes. We're not going to layer clothes in the same way that we layer clothes 10 years ago. There is something more pragmatic and more real about why we're layering. Is we have to be moving on more rapidly. But the sharp line of couture were quite interesting too, because it's that an elegance that still exists in our world and make us believe we have a future.